There is a switch. It is not a physical lever on a wall in a bunker beneath Washington, D.C., protected by armed guards. It is far more subtle, far more pervasive, and far more dangerous than that. It is a line of code. It is a conditional statement in a software protocol. And in 2026, for the first time in the 2.5-century history of the American Republic, the government, and the corporate banking cartel that effectively runs it, will have the technical capacity and the legal authority to flip that switch and turn your money off. We have been warned about this for years. The so-called conspiracy theorists shouted about it from the fringes of the internet. The tech libertarians blogged about it in obscure forums. But the mainstream media, the financial news networks, and the banking establishment told you to sleep soundly. They told you that the digital dollar was about convenience. They told you it was about competing with China in the 21st century. They told you it was about getting your tax refund faster and stopping money launderers. They lied. What we are facing in 2026 is not an upgrade to the financial system. It is a total replacement of the financial system. We are transitioning from a system based on bearer assets, cash that you hold, own, and control, to a system based on programmable liabilities, digital credits that you are allowed to use, subject to an ever-changing list of terms and conditions dictated by an algorithm. Most Americans believe the battle against the central bank digital currency, or CBDC, was won earlier this year. You saw the headlines. You saw the political rallies promising to ban the Fed coin. You saw the Genius Act signed into law in July 2025, which supposedly protected us from a direct government-run surveillance coin. You let your guard down. You thought the war was over. But you missed the fine print. While the front door was bolted shut against a Federal Reserve CBDC to appease the voters, the back door was kicked wide open for something arguably worse: a government-regulated, privately issued stablecoin network running on the FedNow rails. It is the exact same control grid, just with a different logo on the app. It is the privatization of the surveillance state. And there is one man who sees this trap closing better than anyone else: Warren Buffett. Look closely at what the Oracle of Omaha is doing right now, in late 2025. He is sitting on a cash pile that defies logic, hundreds of billions of dollars. But pay attention to where he is keeping it. He isn't keeping it in commercial bank deposits that can be bailed in or frozen. He isn't keeping it in long-term bonds that can be devalued by inflation. He is holding short-term U.S. Treasury bills, the only asset that the system must honor to survive. Why is Buffett behaving like a prepper? Why is he divesting from the banking stocks that build the rails for this new system? Why is he moving into hard assets like energy and rail? Because he knows that when the switch is flipped in 2026, money will no longer be a store of value. It will be a tool of policy. He knows that programmable money means money that can expire, money that can be geo-fenced, money that can be turned off if your carbon footprint is too high, if your political affiliation is deemed high risk, or if you simply buy the wrong things. The warning I am bringing you today is the most critical we have ever issued. The window to secure your financial sovereignty is closing. By the end of 2026, the option to transact privately, without a digital ID and a compliance score, may cease to exist. Today, we are going to expose the hidden mechanism inside the Genius Act that allows for the freezing of your assets without a warrant. We are going to debunk the stablecoin safety narrative. We will connect the dots between the failing commercial real estate market and the rollout of this new control grid. And most importantly, we will give you the exact playbook on how to firewall your wealth before the digital cage locks into place. To understand how you can lose control of your own money without a single law being broken, we need to deconstruct the Trojan horse that has been wheeled into the American economy. For the last 3 years, the debate has been binary: CBDC versus crypto. The government wanted a CBDC, central bank digital currency, to control you. The people wanted crypto, Bitcoin, etc. to be free. The battle lines were drawn. But the establishment is smarter than that. They realized that Americans would never accept a direct account with the Federal Reserve. It sounds too much like socialism. It sounds too much like Chinese-style surveillance. It triggered a visceral patriotic rejection. So they pivoted. They adopted the public-private partnership model. Instead of the Fed issuing the coin directly to you, they deputized the big banks and licensed stablecoin issuers, like Circle, or newly chartered entities created by JP Morgan and BlackRock, to issue digital dollars. These are technically private tokens. They appear to be products of the free market, but they are strictly regulated by the Federal Reserve and run on the FedNow instant payment infrastructure. Here is the translation of the mechanism that was codified in the Genius Act of July 2025. To get a license to issue these safe digital dollars, the issuers must comply with anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC rules that are so strict, they require total real-time surveillance of every single transaction, down to the penny. But the terrifying part, the kill switch, is the requirement for programmability. The law states that issuers must possess the technical capability to seize, freeze, or burn tokens when legally required to do so for national security or financial stability. Let's use a simple analogy to make this concrete. Imagine you have a $50 bill in your physical wallet. If you want to buy a used lawnmower from your neighbor, you hand him the cash. The transaction is done. No one knows. No one can stop it. The cash is a bearer instrument. Whoever holds it, owns it. It is permissionless. Now imagine that cash is replaced by a digital credit or a smart token on your phone. When you try to send that $50 to your neighbor, the signal goes up to the cloud. It doesn't just move money, it initiates a query. It checks your neighbor's digital ID. Is he on a watch list? Is he up to date on his taxes? It checks your digital ID. Is your social compliance score high enough? It checks the metadata of the token itself. Does this specific $50 have an expiration date, like stimulus money that must be spent by Friday to boost the economy? It checks the nature of the transaction. Have you already spent your carbon allowance for the month on gasoline? If any one of those checks fails, the transaction is declined. The money is turned off. The $50 stays in your wallet, but it is useless. It is frozen. This is not science fiction. This technology exists and is being tested right now in the pilot programs of the Regulated Liability Network, RLN, in New York. The digital dollar is not money. It is a voucher system. It is a permission slip. It is a smart coupon that the issuer can revoke at any time. In 2026, as the banking crisis we predicted accelerates and regional banks fail, the government will offer a solution. They will say, the old banking system is too slow and risky. Look at Silicon Valley Bank. Look at the lines. Swap your deposits for these new insured instant digital dollars. They are safer. We will even give you a 10% bonus stimulus check if you do it before June. That is the trap. Once you swap, you are in the cage. You have traded autonomy for convenience. You have traded property rights for permissions. Buffett sees this. He understands that programmable money breaks the fundamental definition of a store of value. A store of value must be immutable. It cannot be subject to the whims of a programmer or a politician. If the issuer can burn your tokens because you violated a rule that didn't exist when you earned the money, then you don't own the money. You are just renting purchasing power from the state. We need to move this from abstract legislation to visceral reality. I want you to close your eyes and imagine the scenario. I want to put you in your kitchen on a Wednesday morning in late 2026. The economy has been rough. Inflation has spiked again because of the massive bailouts for the commercial real estate sector. The cost of living is crushing the middle class. The government has announced a new Universal Basic Relief Program to help families cope with prices. It sounds great. Free money to help with groceries. You check your phone. You have received a notification. $2,000 deposited into your Freedom Wallet. This is the new app that replaced your old banking app after the consolidation of 2025. It's sleek, it's fast, and it's government approved. You feel a sense of relief. You really need that money for groceries and to fill up the truck. You drive to the supermarket. You fill your cart with the essentials: meat, milk, eggs, maybe a bottle of wine for dinner. The bill is $400. You tap your phone to pay. Beep. Declined. You stare at the screen. You check your app. You have $2,000 in the account. You show the cashier. I have the money, you say. You try again. Beep. Declined. Error code 404 restricted. You open the details of the error message. There is a notification you missed earlier. To combat hoarding, promote health, and stimulate the sustainable economy, relief funds are restricted to essential goods only. Meat products exceeding the weekly quota are classified as non-essential due to supply chain impact. You look at the stakes in your cart. You look at the line of people behind you getting impatient. You feel the heat rising in your face. You have to put them back. You can buy the pasta and the soy milk, but not the steak. Your money has been turned off for specific items. It's not your money. It's a food stamp with an algorithm. Humiliated, you leave the store. You decide to drive to the gas station. You need to fill up your truck to get to work. You tap the pump. Beep. Declined. The app notification reads, "Carbon impact limit reached for the month. Please wait 24 hours or purchase carbon credits to unlock pump." You are stranded. You have money. You see the numbers on the screen. But the money is smart, and it has decided you have polluted enough for today. The algorithm has determined that you don't need to drive. Later that night, frustrated and scared, you try to send money to your son who is in college in a different state. He needs rent money. You try to transfer $1,000. Beep. Pending review. For your safety and to prevent fraud, transfers to recipients in high-risk jurisdictions, a state that passed laws opposing the CBDC, require biometric verification and a 48-hour cooling-off period. You realize, with a cold sweat running down your spine, that you are not free. You are a user in a managed economy. You are a node in a network that can throttle you at will. The dollar you grew up with, the symbol of freedom, the currency that said, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private," is dead. It has been replaced by a control collar. This simulation is the nightmare scenario that Warren Buffett is silently betting against. By hoarding physical assets, energy production, and short-term sovereign debt, which is the collateral of the system itself, not the commercial application layer, he is positioning himself above the control grid. He is securing the base layer of the economy while the retail public is trapped in the application layer. If you are watching this from a city that has already started cashless initiatives, or if you've experienced debanking or frozen accounts, comment below. Tell us where you are. We need to map the spread of this digital grid. We must validate this thesis with history, because the skeptics will say, "This is America. They can't just seize or control our money." The Constitution protects property rights. They can, and they have. And they did it when the technology was just paper and ink. Imagine what they can do with code. Let's look at April 5, 1933. Executive Order 6102. Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a law that made it illegal for U.S. citizens to own monetary gold. He didn't just ask nicely. He threatened 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine, which is equivalent to over $200,000 today, for anyone who didn't turn in their gold coins and bars to the Federal Reserve. Why? Because the government needed to inflate the money supply to fight the Great Depression, and they couldn't do it if people could hoard gold to protect their wealth. Gold was the exit valve from the dollar. It was the only way to say no to the government's inflation. So, they closed the valve. They turned off gold. They forced everyone to exchange their gold for paper dollars at $20.67 an ounce. Once the government had all the gold, they immediately revalued it to $35 an ounce. They effectively stole 40% of the wealth of the American people overnight with a pen stroke. But we have a more recent, more digital example. Operation Choke Point. In 2013, the Obama administration, specifically the Department of Justice, launched a secret initiative called Operation Choke Point. They pressured banks to cut off financial services to certain legal industries that the administration politically opposed. Gun shops, payday lenders, coin dealers. There was no law passed banning these businesses. There was no due process. The government simply told the banks that these customers were high risk, and that if the banks continued to serve them, the regulators would make the banks' lives miserable. The banks, terrified of the regulators, closed the accounts. This was the beta test for 2026. It proved that you don't need to ban something to kill it. You just need to cut off its access to the financial system. You just need to turn off the money. The shift to programmable money in 2026 is the digital version of Executive Order 6102, combined with Operation Choke Point on steroids. In 1933, they seized the physical gold to force you into paper. In 2013, they used regulatory pressure to debank specific industries. In 2026, they will effectively seize the paper cash by making it obsolete or costly to use. to force you into digital tokens that can be choked off algorithmically at the individual level. The logic is the same. Control. They cannot have a sovereign citizenry holding assets outside the system during a debt crisis. They need you trapped in the system so they can apply negative interest rates, expiration dates, and targeted inflation to liquidate the national debt at your expense. Buffett remembers 1933. His father was a congressman who railed against the corruption of money. Buffett knows that when the sovereign is broke, the rules of property rights are suspended. That is why he buys businesses with pricing power, companies that can raise prices as fast as the currency is debased. He creates his own inflation hedge because he knows the currency itself is the target. Here is the plot twist that makes this betrayal so stinging. The very legislation that people celebrated in July 2025, the Genius Act, which supposedly stood for guarding economic networks and innovation in the United States, is the weapon that will be used against you. The narrative in 2024 and early 2025 was that we stopped the Fed CBDC. Politicians took victory laps. They told you they saved freedom. They told you the digital dollar was dead. But what the Genius Act actually did was create a federal charter for private stablecoin issuers. It legitimized the digital dollar, but handed the keys to the banking cartel, JP Morgan, Circle, BlackRock. It privatized the profits of the new system while socializing the control. It required these issuers to hold 100% reserves in treasury bills, which helps the government fund its debt, a clever trick to find a buyer for U.S. debt when China stopped buying. But the hidden clause, Section 404, mandated interoperability with law enforcement and regulatory compliance standards. This innocent-sounding phrase is the kill switch. It means that every stablecoin wallet must be tied to a verified digital identity. It means that the Treasury Department can order the freezing of assets in any wallet deemed non-compliant without a court order, simply by labeling it a national security risk. In 2026, the definition of national security risk will expand. It won't just be terrorists or drug dealers. It will be disinformation spreaders. It will be tax avoiders. It will be capital flight risks, people trying to move money out of the country to protect it from inflation. The plot twist is that the private digital dollar is actually a deputized CBDC. It has the same control features, but better marketing. You will adopt it willingly because it is integrated into Amazon, Apple Pay, and X, formerly Twitter. You will adopt it for the convenience, for the instant settlement, for the rewards points, not realizing you are putting the handcuffs on yourself. Furthermore, the FedNow system, which is the high-speed rail that these tokens travel on, allows for the settlement of these transactions 24/7. This sounds good, but it also allows for instant tax garnishment. Imagine a world where a speeding ticket is deducted from your wallet the second the camera flashes. Imagine a world where your taxes are deducted per transaction, not per year. FedNow makes that possible. It removes the lag time that protects the citizen from the state. This leads us to the masterclass sector analysis. How is Warren Buffett positioning for the death of the old dollar and the rise of the control grid? He isn't buying Bitcoin, which he still dislikes, but he is betting on the physical world, the world that cannot be deleted by a line of code. Energy dominance. He continues to pour billions into Occidental Petroleum and Chevron. Why? Because oil is the ultimate bearer asset. A barrel of oil has value in Shanghai, London, or New York, regardless of what the digital dollar does. It is energy. It is physics. You cannot turn off the value of oil with a legislative act. The world stops without it. Energy is the currency of the physical world. Infrastructure and rails. He owns the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, BNSF Railroad. He owns the physical rails that move the goods. In a digital dystopia, physical logistics become the most valuable choke point. You can digitize money, but you cannot digitize the delivery of grain or coal. If you own the rails, you get paid, no matter what currency is used. Insurance float. He uses the float from Geico to buy real assets. Insurance is mandatory. People must pay it. It provides a constant stream of cash that he can instantly convert into hard assets, protecting him from currency devaluation. Short-term treasuries. He holds T-bills, not long-term bonds. Why? Because T-bills are cash equivalents, but they are outside the commercial banking system. They are a direct claim on the government. In a crisis where bank deposits are frozen or bailed in, T-bills are the collateral that the system needs to function. They will remain liquid when everything else freezes. Buffett is effectively shorting the fiat trust system. He is moving away from assets that depend on government promises, like long-term bonds or bank deposits, and into assets that depend on physical necessity. The blast zone for 2026 includes the fintech sector and the regional banks that will be absorbed into the FedNow Borg. But the biggest victim is the cash saver. If you are holding your wealth in a savings account or under the mattress, you are the target. The transition to digital will likely include a demonetization of physical cash, perhaps the recall of $100 bills, forcing you to deposit them into the new system where they can be tracked and controlled. Now we must pivot to the concrete actions you need to take. The warning is useless without a survival guide. The title says the dollar will be turned off, so how do you keep your lights on? How do you maintain autonomy in a programmable world? Action 1. Build a privacy firewall with physical cash, while you can. While large bills are still legal tender, withdraw a significant emergency fund in physical cash. Focus on small denominations, 10s, 20s, 50s. Do this before the 2026 recall of large bills begins. Physical cash is the only transaction method that leaves zero digital footprint. It is the only freedom money left. Even if they eventually ban it, there will be a transition period of years where cash will trade at a premium in the gray market. Having cash gives you options when the digital system freezes or restricts you. It allows you to buy food from a neighbor without the algorithm knowing. Action 2. Own bearer assets, gold and silver. Allocating 5 to 10% of your net worth to physical gold and silver coins, not ETFs, not paper contracts, is critical. Gold is the anti-CBDC. It cannot be tracked, frozen, or programmed. It has no counterparty risk. It has been money for 5,000 years. If your digital wallet is frozen because you exceeded your carbon limit, a gold coin can still bribe a guard, buy passage, or purchase food from a local farmer. It is your off-grid wealth insurance. It is the battery that stores your labor value outside the matrix. Action 3. Establish food energy. Independence. The ultimate control mechanism of programmable money is hunger. If they can turn off your ability to buy food, they own you. Invest in a deep pantry. Long-term food storage. Rice, beans, freeze-dried goods. A garden. Connections with local farmers who accept cash or barter. This isn't just prepping, it's economic self-defense. By reducing your dependence on the digital grocery grid, you reduce the leverage the system has over you. You are creating your own personal supply chain that doesn't require a QR code to access. Action 4. Diversify jurisdiction, the Plan B. If you have the means, open a bank account in a jurisdiction that is hostile to the Western CBDC agenda or slower to adopt it. Look at countries that are resisting the G7 digital control grid. Having funds outside the immediate reach of the Genius Act protocols creates a legal air gap for your wealth. It ensures that if one switch is flipped, you have a backup generator running elsewhere. Action 5. Reduce debt fragility. Programmable money could introduce variable interest rates based on your social score or spending habits. If you have floating rate debt, you are vulnerable. Pay it off. Own your home and your car outright if possible. The less you owe the system, the less power the system's new currency has over you. He who is in debt is slave to the lender, and soon the lender will be an algorithm that knows everything about you. The final verdict on the turned-off dollar of 2026 is a call to sovereignty. The era of financial privacy is ending. The era of neutral money is ending. We are entering the era of weaponized, politicized, programmable currency. This transition is inevitable because it is the only way the government can manage the debt crisis without hyperinflation. By controlling the velocity and direction of spending with absolute precision. They need to force you to spend to stimulate the economy or force you to save to stop inflation, and programmable money gives them the knobs to do that. But you do not have to be a helpless victim of this transition. Warren Buffett isn't. He is moving his chips to squares on the board that the government cannot easily erase. He is buying the real world. You must do the same. Do not wait for the app update that changes your bank account to a Fed wallet. By then, the terms of service will have already been signed for you. By then, the fence will be electrified. You need to position yourself now. Get physical. Get real assets. Get private. Be like Buffett. See the trap, understand the mechanism, and quietly walk out of the digital prison before the bars slam shut. The dollar isn't dying. It is being upgraded into a shackle. Your job is to make sure you have a key. I am immensely grateful to you for staying until the end of this critical warning. This information is suppressed by the algorithm because it threatens the narrative of the transition. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you the truth about the financial system that the brochures leave out. Stay vigilant, stay free, and we will see you in the next video.